Hi, it's Mike Stevenson here. What I'd like to do is give you a quick sort of 5 minute run through of what we can do with a business data modeler. So here we've got the application open. I'm going to create a new model and I'm going to give it a name. And I've got a source and destination, so I can put some documentation in there if I want to, and I can just save that now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it to the file system, and so under the hood that's going to save a JSON file that you can see here. And what I basically have is it's two tree views that we're going to build. So I've got my source and my destination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create in the source tree, I can create multiple nodes. So I can create a single node here. Let's call this customer event. And in addition to that, I can also create multiple nodes as well. So I might have my customer API response and my let's call that customer profile response. So I'm going to create a couple of different entities that I'm going to have in my source model. Over in my destination model, let's create, we've got a target message over here, and let's call this our, think of a good name for a system, HR, our HR system customer update message. So what we'll do is we'll add a bunch of fields that belong to this message. So we might have first name, surname, date of birth, first name and city. And what we can also do is we can kind of build a tree structure under here. So if I kind of drag this across a bit, and we might see the customer update, it also has something called roles. So let's say we have an element called roles, and that has a bunch of children. So you might have job title, start date, end date, something like that. So you can see we're kind of building like a hierarchical structure over here. Now I may have multiple destination entities, or I may just have one. It depends what really you're simulating in your scenario. So let's imagine from the source system, we have the customer event message, which has a customer ID, it has a name, and it has a time. And let's imagine that I'm going to have my customer event comes out, and maybe I go back to the source system and I get the customer's profile. So I might have a customer ID, and then I might have some additional data. So let's have something like that. I think we'll put the address in there. So I'll put date of birth. And we have something like that. So what we're basically doing is we're building up this structure, and the idea is how do we populate the fields in the data on the destination entities. So I've got these messages that are inputs to whatever transformations I'm going to do. They may come from one system, many systems, whatever. And I need to populate this other side. So what we can do is, if you're familiar with BizTalk, for example, which has a visual mapping tool, we can just grab the first name and we drag it over to the first name property on the destination. And you'll notice that these icons over here, so these indicate we've got some work to do, but that one changed to be an in progress. And the idea is, as we go through these mappings, one of the challenges is, how do I know when I'm done, and how do I know where my issues are? So what we'll do is we'll drag a couple of fields across, and we'll start populating this destination message. So we know I've got got where these fields go to, and what I might do at this point is I might go and say, right, the first name property, so I can double click on it and then open it up and start capturing some information about this line. And actually, just to point out before we do that, if you click on these nodes, it highlights the line. So let's say, actually we had, so let's say we had address 1 and address 2 both map to address 1 in the destination. So maybe they get concatenated together. So I could click on that one and it would highlight all the things in the source tree that make up this thing in the destination tree. So it gives me a nice easy way of seeing what maps to what. Now, what I might do, let's say first name, if I double click on that. So what I might say is that the transformation type might be pass through. I don't really care about the data type much. I might put some example values in here if I want. So let's say Mike would be an example. I can make some notes. I might just say that this is pass through. I can see the list of nodes that I'm mapped from, and I can remove that link if I want to. But I can just capture some data about this transformation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, right, that one's good. So I'll mark that as complete and save it. And you can see this now converted to a tick. So I know that one's done and I'm good. Next up, the surname. Now we might have some problem with the surname. So I might say that one's blocked. And that one goes to red. So we know there's an issue. Date of birth, I might say it's a simple transformation. So I've got some different types I might indicate here. I might say if it's a date, I might use 2020-01-01 might be the format. I can say this needs that might be an example of the notes we need to do on the transformation. And I might say this one it's no longer in progress, it's actually complete. Address, so I might with address I might indicate this as like I'm just going to concatenate them or something, and I might say there's a question on that one, so we know we've got something to look up. And I basically work through getting these all so that we're good. And so the first thing is that when I look at this, I can see all the things that are done. I can see any issues. I can, if I'm starting to look at this from an implementation perspective, I can basically work through these fields and see where they come from. And I've got good documentation here. I'm just going to quickly save my model before we continue. So what I can do next is I can now go and generate some documentation. So first off, you could just give the JSON file to somebody who could open it up in the tool, and they'd be able to see the mappings and edit it and something like that. You might save the JSON in SharePoint if you want to collaborate on it or something. But if I'm going to create some documentation, what I can do is I can say, right, I'm going to export it to a Word document, and I'll just call this call the Word document doc for some reason. That's going to now export, and what I've got over here is I've got this Word document which actually kind of puts all the details I've captured in my model into a report. So I can see here, out of all the fields I've got, there's 8 that are in to-do status. None of them are in progress at the minute. 2 are completed, 1 blocked, 1 has a question. If I'd captured some data about the model, I could have the descriptions in here if I wanted to. And what I'm going to do next is we go through a summary of the mappings. So here you can see it's the paths in the source model and what nodes they map to in the destination. So you start getting a bit of usefulness. So you can see those mappings if you want to. We can then start like going through each of the nodes in detail. So we'll work through the HR customer update, and we see what the details of that is, any of the documentation. So if we find the one we looked for, so where's the one we put some notes in? So here's the date, for example, date of birth. So we know the path for the node is that on the destination. We know it's complete. The type. We know the list of nodes that were mapped to it, so we can easily see those if we need to. Our notes for transformation are down here, and I think we had the one where we had 2 nodes. You can see we've got them listed here. I'll just tweak that. And then you can see I've got my transformation nodes here. So we start being able to generate some documentation from the model if you prefer it in a Word format for some kind of snapshot. Personally, I kind of prefer just mapping it straight in the tool, because I can work with people. We can, get a couple of people on a Microsoft Teams call. We would then go through working out these mappings, go through all the fields till they're all good, and then the developer can just get on and implement those mappings. And we really kind of start focusing on getting the job done, and we can easily see our status of our mappings, which I think is a big accelerator for the projects we've done. Thanks for listening to the video. So hopefully this will help you get up and running, easy to install, easy to get up and running with, and hope it's useful for people.